Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 7. Yeah, so The Flash Season 8 has officially started filming, and though we are waiting on our first news and just general new information from it, at the time of making this video at the very least, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to talk about The Flash Season 7 probably for the final time. I can't see anything coming up that would make me focus in on Season 7 again. I don't think so, at least. Anyway, and this is going to be going over the things that did not make it to screen in Season 7 of The Flash, which a couple of you guys have asked me about because I did it for Season 6 as well. Now, some things that were removed from the season were discussed by Eric Wallace, the showrunner for The Flash, in an interview like a couple or a few weeks ago, something like that, but it really was just him saying, this character had a story that we didn't do. That was it. There was no real details given in regards to it by him. So I thought we would go over the ones that have been brought up as scenes or storylines that were deleted from Season 7's plans, and we didn't get to see them, unfortunately, for now. Who knows, they might be able to shift some of the stuff into the upcoming Season 8 if they really do want to use these unused elements. But, you know, I'm not a writer on the show, so I have no idea what they have planned. So, yeah. But of course, let me know in the comments section down below which one of these deleted either scenes or storylines would you have wanted to see the most in Season 7? I'm always curious to see what you guys would want the most from these and just your general thoughts on all of this stuff as well. Just let me know in the comments. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you found this somewhat informative, want to drop a like on the video to show support for the channel, always appreciated. So first up is something that was noted by a lot of people. So a lot of people might have already known this because they actually released promo images for this specific thing, but then it never actually reached the episode. So there were some Iris and Joe deleted scenes from over a couple of episodes from what I know. Now these appeared to be Iris helping Joe out with the Kristen Kramer stuff, and we're assuming that these were deleted over about 2 to 3 episodes after it was removed from the first episode. So if they're not going to do in that initial episode, then they're not going to continue that storyline because it wouldn't make sense because they never did the introductory scene, if you want to call it. However, it is important to remember that it was actually set up earlier in the first half of the season when Iris doesn't like Kristen Kramer and what's going on, and her and Joe have that meeting, and then that's sort of what kicks off Joe's storyline with Kramer in the back half. But of course, Iris doesn't really help with anything along that line after that moment. Just Joe moves on by himself. There's no Iris involvement seen on screen. However, they did film stuff that did involve Iris helping Joe out with that storyline that didn't make it to screen, made it to promo images, and instead we saw stuff that happened with Cecile, which would have happened, I think, anyway, even if Iris was involved, but we just saw Cecile help Joe in some areas with that storyline. But yeah, next up we have Bloodwork. Now, though it was and still is unclear what Bloodwork's presence in Season 7 would have entailed, we can assume it would have followed on from that odd ending with him in Season 6. So for those that don't remember, it was when they needed some of his like organic material, like blood or whatever it was, in order to push Mirror Master's plan into action. And by they, I mean like the mirror clones of Camilla, Iris, and Captain Singh. And of course, that was the point where like Mirror, Camilla hit like the force field thing and like evaporated or something like that. Now, of course, the mirror clones offered Ramsey Rosso, or Bloodwork, freedom from his prison in order for this organic material, but he decided to go back into his prison containment chamber thing, with us wondering just like what he was planning or waiting on. Rather than be free and everything like that, he wanted to wait there for another moment. So that left the door open for something with him for this season, which was hinted at between seasons in interviews with Eric Wallace and I think even Grant Gustin as well. But obviously the issues with getting actors in and out of Vancouver where they film was too tall of an ask to fit in, I guess, with what they would have wanted to do with him. Maybe they only wanted him for like 1 episode in Season 7, or it was scattered, so like him to show up in episode 4, him to show up in episode 11. It's too big of a break to just keep him in Vancouver, and then to fly him in and out, you have to do quarantine. So it could have been just too tall of an ask. And even with that, I don't actually know where they would have had him show up. I can't think of like a place that we saw in Season 7 where he could have fit in or just showed up. But maybe they changed whatever they were going to do with him to something else that we saw in Season 7 because they couldn't use Bloodwork, whatever that might be. So, yeah. Next up, and this is actually something that's sort of lingered past Season 7, or more than Season 7, might I say, and that's actually Caitlin's mother. Now, obviously, at the end of Season 6, I think it was actually the last episode that we saw of Season 6 before COVID went, you're not airing any more episodes, thank you very much. we saw that Caitlin, or, well, Caitlin and Frost, they were together at that point, go off with Caitlin's mother and deal with her situation, as well as address the fact and carry on the story about Caitlin's mother being a meta, which is similar to Frost. But that didn't move on into season 7. Obviously, it was COVID related. We even knew that Daniel Panabaker, who plays Caitlin and Frost, wasn't meant to show up until like 4 or 5 episodes into what season 7 would have normally been. But because of COVID, they brought her back because she would have been because she was pregnant. She had a baby and stuff like that, and she wouldn't have been able to get back in time and had the recovery time until about episode 4 or 5, I think. But she came back in episode 2 or 3 from what they had. So yeah, it's obviously COVID related, but I do wonder whether they move all of this to season 8. However, the big thing is that storyline, I think, was set up in season 5. I think that's when you first see her mother having some ice meta stuff going on. I think it's season 5, unless it just feels like it was that season 5 because it was so long ago. But if it wasn't season 5 and they decide to address it in season 8, I guess it's better late than never, as they do say. Next up, we actually have Timeless Wells. Now, this was something that Eric Wallace alluded to in a couple of interviews, and that was about how, due to season 6 being forced to end early or not properly, and for the story from that season having to be wrapped up in the first few episodes of season 7, it messed around with the contract of Tom Cavanagh, who plays all the different versions of Harrison Wells. So Timeless Wells, who was created at the end of episode 1 or 2, I think it's episode 1, appeared in 2 episodes after that. So a cliffhanger and 2 episodes. However, he was supposed to appear more than that. Now, his appearances were at the end of the Mirror Master arc in episode 3, and towards the end of the end, or the end of the second third of the Fall storyline. So you would have to think that if he appeared 1 or 2 more times, they would have been in the Godspeed arc, you'd have to think, or maybe one of the episodes would have been in the Goodbye Cisco episode. But then again, the Cisco episode was pushed ahead in the season, or pushed to earlier in the season from where it was meant to be because of COVID as well. So who knows where exactly he would have popped up again. We just know that he appeared less than he was meant to in this season. Obviously, one of the appearances counts as Reverse Flash, but I don't think that was actually meant to. That would have taken away from the Timeless Well stuff if it got to play out like they planned. Now, the next one is interesting, and I don't think anyone knows this. A lot of this stuff is like, if you stay up to date and stuff, or you're on Twitter and stuff, you might know about this. I don't know if actually anyone knows about the next one. Now, the next one is a fairly interesting one, and some of you guys might not know this because it's a bit more, I guess, undercover. I don't know how you would word it, but a flashback scene. So this is meant to be a flashback scene in the 150th episode of The Flash. So that was episode 17, the second last episode of this season, and it was apparently meant to be between Henry Allen and Barry. Now, there are really no details on what the scene was meant to be, or even whether it was filmed or not, because that's not known whether it was actually filmed or not. But maybe it was meant to serve as like a parallel to Barry being a father to Bart. I'm not too sure, because even John Wesley Shipp is credited as Henry Allen, but we didn't see any newly filmed scenes. And if they credit you as that character, it's because you filmed another scene. Like, you actually filmed a scene for that episode. So I'm not too sure if it was filmed. Based on the fact that he was credited as Henry Allen makes me think he was, or it was just planned and scrapped before filming the episode. We don't know. But however, it makes sense that would be an episode where you would do some sort of flashback scene, and I sort of wish we'd seen it. But that episode was crazy. When you think about the 150th episode, it had a lot of stuff in it. So I can sort of understand why they cut stuff, and there's probably even more that they cut that we don't even know about. Now, the next one's actually a big one, and that's actually Ralph Dibny. So obviously we know what happened with the whole Ralph Dibny thing. We know what happened with Hartley Sawyer. There's no point, bringing all that back into play and talking about it. However, the storyline for Ralph, they talked about this leading up to season 7, and then what happened, and Hartley left the show. But Ralph, Sue, and someone else from Team Flash, who is unknown at the moment, we're going to have a storyline in another city, might I say. Now, as I said, it was deleted for obvious reasons, but I guess the big question was, along with Ralph and Sue, who was the other Team Flash member? Because this was meant to be a storyline that sort of existed outside of the main storyline that was going on in Central City. Now, my thoughts are, based off what we saw, who felt like they belonged in scenes throughout season 7, my guess is Allegra. And maybe they made it that, like, when Nash Wells dies, like Ralph and Sue take Allegra with them because maybe they feel it's the best thing for her to get out of Central City for that time. I'm not too sure, because she did feel out of place this season in a lot of areas. So it would make sense if Allegra was the one that was meant to go with Ralph and Sue. The only other person I can think of is maybe Cecile. and that's just because Joe was doing his own thing, but Joe wasn't doing anything until the back half anyway. So yeah, Allegra would be my top choice in regards to that, but it could have been Cecile, might have even been Iris, I'm not too sure. But this is the big question. So we've listed all this stuff. Which storylines and these situations that I've mentioned could be moved to season 8? Because sometimes they do that. And I would have to say there's 3. There's 3 out of this bunch which I think could be moved or will be moved or maybe should be moved. I don't know. Your choice, I guess. And these are Timeless Wells, Bloodwork, and Caitlyn's mother. They've already said that Caitlyn had a storyline deleted from season. Eric Wallace said this, but wouldn't say whether it was specifically this or not. But this was set up in season 6 and never played out in season 7, so it was scrapped. So maybe that's a sign that thing's coming back, and also it ties a loose end. I hate when shows have loose ends. I prefer, even if you don't necessarily want to see it too much, I prefer if they tie that end off, even if it's just for like an episode or 2, and they finish it off. But yeah, Timeless Wells, Bloodwork, and Caitlyn's mother, I would say those are the clear ones, as the rest either have to do with something that happened in season 7 and was connected to the season 7 story, or they were taken out for a specific reason that would also rule them out of season 8, like the Ralph storyline. Unless they want to recast Ralph, which I've always said is probably a bad idea, just because I think that actor would automatically get hate, and we don't need more of that in this world, do we? But yeah, Timeless Wells, Bloodwork, Caitlyn's mother, that's what I would suggest. But let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Which one would you want to see continue into season 8 or take place in season 8? Which one would you just want deleted forever? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, it would be awesome to drop a like on it to show support. And just if you enjoyed it, and of course if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.